That's the beauty of making a movie about dreams. You can do whatever you want. Like, hey everybody, my name is Nick. I'm a director living in Taiwan, and today I'm going to be talking about another Kurosawa film. This episode, let's call it an episode, I'm going to be talking about the film Dreams. Dreams might not be exactly an Kurosawa film. It's a pretty famous film in his filmography. I think most people who know about Kurosawa know about the film Dreams. But for me, I consider it Kurosawa because in style and form, it's very separate from his other works. It's one that's made much later in his life, and it's very different than his other pieces. It's a film that I hadn't seen until very recently, so for me it's an Kurosawa. I guess this series could also be called Akira Kurosawa movies that specifically I, Nick Vakey, haven't seen yet. But Kurosawa sounds better. So Dreams is a pretty straightforward movie. It's basically just a bunch of vignettes based on dreams that the director Kurosawa had throughout his life. I think an interesting thing that everybody always talks about with this movie is its beautiful imagery. And it's something that I think is very prominent to people because of the fact that Kurosawa was purportedly going blind in his old age. It's a very beautiful film, the shots are amazing, and it's amazing to think that this director made this film without full use of his eyesight. As a movie, it's very impressive from an imagery standpoint, from a cinematography standpoint. I think there's a lot of really cool shots in this film. I mean, I wouldn't ever want to diminish that. I think that's beautiful and amazing about this movie. That's why I got the rainbow colors on as a homage to Dreams and the rainbow stuff that he does in it. And a lot of the color that he uses in it as well. I did not like the score at all. I thought the sound in general was kind of off and muddy. I was not a fan of the sound of this movie. And something that a good friend of mine who was a musician used to say, you know, sound is half the movie. You don't know it. Everybody thinks about the images, but sound is a huge sense. It's half the frickin' movie. I'm not gonna lie, and not to diminish the great director Akira Kurosawa, who I love. I think he's one of the best directors of all time, but I don't like this movie. I did not like it. I thought it was just not great. You know, I thought that it wasn't abstract enough. It's a movie called Dreams, and it's presented in a very straightforward way. It's like listening to your buddy talk about his crazy dream, and you're like, yeah, obviously you're in love with your mother, or whatever. I mean, there's nothing, not really exactly like that. I just thought that as a movie called Dreams, you could do a lot more interesting stuff with it, with mixing things together and making things crazy. An example is that something that I hated about this movie, and I could go on forever, is the titles in between each section. Like, what are we doing here? Why, between every section of this movie, does it say, and I had another dream? Or this is another dream that I have, something like whatever it says. I mean, it is really horrible. Every section, you get it again. And I had another dream, and I had another dream, and I had another dream, and I had another dream. What information are we getting from this title? We're not getting anything from this title. I know that this is a series of your dreams. You don't need to put up a title card saying, this is my next dream. Like, what would be way more interesting is, as the movie goes out, I think something that I liked about it was that it progresses throughout his life, and the main character changes. The actor playing him changes as he's like a boy, and he gets older, and he gets older and becomes a man, and he becomes an old man. And so we have these different actors playing Akira Kurosawa and having these dreams. What would be way more interesting than breaking this up with title cards would be for the movie to move fluidly through this. So you have a character that's a little boy, you know, seeing this fox marriage or whatever happened in the first thing, and then he walks towards the rainbow. This is the end of the first segment, and then he's in a house with his sisters all doing weird stuff, and he's an older person now. He's not the same actor. Like, how much more interesting and enthralling would a movie like that be, where it's very surreal and you have the main actor changing even though it represents the same character, and then like he walks through a doorway and then he's all of a sudden an old man, and it's the next dream. And it's not like we need to know, oh, this is a different dream. It's a movie called Dreams. It can be freaking weird. Like, you could have a person walk through a door and be in a new place. That's the beauty of making a movie about dreams. You can do whatever you want. Like, I you have no idea how fired up I am about this, because I just think it's so weird to me that such a great director who is so creative and can do so many amazing things in the medium of film made such a bland movie about dreams. I feel like Akira Kurosawa as a director is just too rooted in kind of his realism and his structured way of doing things, and he's so good at that it was hard for him to make a movie that was more fluid and more open and more experimental, stuff that I like he just wasn't able to do it. So yeah, I just think that the main thing that I really hated was the separation of each segment. I think it would have been a much better movie if surrealism was brought into it and it was kind of blended together better. Something that is on almost every review that I read is like, oh, it's so cool that Scorsese's in this movie. Bro, I hated that so much. Why is Scorsese playing Van Gogh? What? Van Gogh is from Holland. He's Dutch. Fucking, you got Scorsese, this like guy with this like Italian American accent, be like, "Hey, I'm Van Gogh. What are you doing?" I mean, he doesn't sound like that at all, really. But he's Scorsese. Yeah, I'm playing Van Gogh. I got my ear cut off, or what? I can't. This is terrible, Scorsese. But I'm just saying, like, why? He's not doing like a great job of acting in it. I mean, he's okay. He's fine. Sorry, Scorsese. Sorry, Kurosawa. Sorry, people that like this. But I just think like, I don't know, it just did not work for me. And it's not even like, Scorsese isn't like an amazing actor. He's another director, which is, I mean, it's kind of interesting to have like this weird thing of like, oh, he's dreaming about Scorsese being, I don't know, maybe I'm totally off here because I'm just talking about how you can do whatever you want in a movie called Dreams, and then I'm saying that Van Gogh needs to be actually Dutch. But I don't know. I just thought it was stupid, and he wasn't that good enough of an actor to like really make it work. I thought that seems very visually interesting about how he's walking through all these amazing Van Gogh paintings, but then you have the person playing Van Gogh is like playing it really weird. I didn't like it. I thought it was silly and goofy, and I thought it was not service of the mood and the feeling that he was trying to convey. It was just a service of this interesting thing of like, oh, hey, isn't it cool that another really big director is in my movie? I'm passing the torch of cinema from me to Scorsese. That's what it felt like. It felt like very like meta about filmmaking and not about conveying the feelings that he wanted to convey. It totally took me out of it, because that story was supposed to be about like art and like passion and like obsession. Him as Kurosawa feels like an artist needs to be completely and totally obsessed, and if you're not, then you aren't a good artist, and like feeling shame for that. Like those, I could see that those things were in there, but then having Scorsese be this director there, I don't know, maybe it's good. Maybe there's some deeper thing with it that I'm not getting. Like Scorsese's like that and Kurosawa's not, so he's trying to say that like Scorsese is like Van Gogh and he wishes he was more like him. I don't know. I don't really care. I just thought it was not cool and it took me out of it, and everybody in their reviews is writing about how awesome it is that Scorsese is in the movie, but I don't think you're really thinking about like, does it serve the message and the meaning? That's my opinion. I thought it was dumb. I liked some of the segments, I will say that. Some segments were kind of boring. I thought no, you know what though? I thought almost all segments were interesting on their own. Like if you showed me a short of any of these movies, I would say this is genius, this is amazing, this is like the best short I've ever seen. And of course, because Akira Kurosawa is a fantastic director. I think my real problem goes back to how he strung them together and how it was very like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. Like I can point to a lot that I liked. Like I loved the imagery and the ideas behind like the Japanese soldiers coming back, these ghosts being lost. You know, I thought that was fantastic. And like not knowing that they were dead. That was so cool. I loved the ending with like the windmills, like this like being in this weird fantasy world where like everything is like sustainable and natural. I loved the nuclear meltdown in Mount Fuji, or I think it was like a volcano or something like that. I don't really remember. But I just thought there was all these cool, interesting ideas, but they just weren't blended together in a way that propelled me through. this interesting concept of dreams. And I think that could have been totally fixed if you just took out the separations and you blended it all together and you showed this character going through this world of dreams. Like, bring me through it. That's what I wanted out of this movie, and it was like a big deal. And then the other thing that I really thought was a big problem was, like I said, the sound. The music wasn't doing it for me, except in the Weeping Demon. I think that short in particular, I'm calling it a short, that segment in particular actually had pretty interesting sound, like the way that the demons were screaming and stuff. Like, that was kind of cool and interesting, and the music was better in that one. But overall, I was not a fan of the music. In general, as a Kurosawa movie, I mean, I see this movie a lot on lists of like best films ever made in Asia or best Asian cinema, because I looked that stuff up for the channel, like to find ideas for films. I saw that on there and I was thinking, I should watch this movie. I haven't seen it. And it's such like an important piece in the history of cinema that everybody always talks about. They put it on all these lists. I don't think it should be there. There's so many better Kurosawa films. There's so many better films about dreams. There's a lot better, I hate to say it, but there's so many better films coming out of Asia. So many better films from this era, the 90s. It's just like not, it's a good movie, but it's just not anything amazing in the way that it deserves to be at the top of anybody's list. That's my opinion on it. I think that also speaks to how great of a director Kurosawa is like, if this is anybody else's movie, everybody would be talking about how great it is. Or maybe not. Another way to think about it is this kind of self-indulgent movie about dreams only possible and only revered because Kurosawa made it? That's something to think about. Maybe let me know in the comments. Do you think this movie actually is amazing, and if it was another director's, it would be their best film? Or do you think that this movie gets to the top of lists because it's made by Akira Kurosawa, and if a different director made it with no track record, that it would be considered a mediocre film? I mean, yell at me if you think Dreams is amazing. I'm happy to argue with people. Go check out my review on Raise the Red Lantern. Scroll through those comments there and tell me that I don't throw down in the YouTube comments. That's what I do. I live for that. So come on, come at me. If you love Dreams, come at me. Obviously, everything is low stakes here. It's fine to have any opinion about any movie that you want. Actually, if you really want to see people get pissed, you should check out my review on I Saw the Devil. People are not happy that I didn't like that. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. I think this movie's not that great. I'll be looking at other Kurosawa movies. I don't want to say not that. Okay, I do want to say not that great because you know what? All right. Okay, anyway, I'll be reviewing other Kurosawa movies. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you agree, disagree. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.